Welcome to the Intentional Household Podcast. Today, Alex, you're joining. We are going to be talking about choosing kids' activities, how to choose the activities, how to determine when it's the right activity and when maybe it's too much. This is something that I talk to many moms about quite frequently. And with the school year about 3/4 of the way done, I realized that I am personally feeling a little burnt out from all of the activities we have put our daughter in. So it's really had me reflecting and assessing whether these activities were worth it and what we should continue next year.
This is the first I'm hearing about this, guys.
Yeah, well, because
this is going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, and because generally in our household, I am the owner of activities, and I'm not talking to you about it. I'm mostly talking to other moms who are also taking their kids to activities and just discussing what activities our kids are in. I mean, you certainly do have some involvement. Today, you had taken a picture of a program for, I think it was a young engineers program.
Yeah. So I did take a picture of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the listeners out there, it was funny again, preamble before this, Laura and Tatiana, our marketing manager, were discussing, and I'm like, why am I even on this one again? I have no participation in booking the kids in activities. And I give an example. I'm like, I tried once and then I failed, and Laura had to actually did twice. I successfully did one, and this will go into the picture that I sent. I successfully did one, and then my kid went once, or our kid went once, and hated it and refused to ever go again. And then the other one, which our child was interested, I didn't finish the booking process because there was too many steps to get it. So, going in your skill set is bringing these to actually getting the kids in, and I'm kind of going sidetracked, but also we live in Toronto, and if you're booking city-based, I shouldn't even just say city-based because it's private ones too. There's so much competition for certain things that you need to be on the ball to book your kids into various events, because there is a limit, there's a scarcity of spots, and there's a surplus of kids. The supply and demand don't match up. So if you're not on the ball, you're not going to book it. So if she relied on me to book these things, our kids would be a nothing. So anyways, going back to the picture I took. So the example one where I was the only time I was successful in booking our child into something, he hated it. And because he had no interest in doing that activity. So part of the conversation of booking kids in activities, making sure that it's actually aligned that your kid wants to do it. So I took a picture of an engineering, fostering engineering in children, because our child really loves to build things, and it's aligning the activity to the interest of the child. But sometimes you're shooting in the dark. Like, I think when they're younger, you got to shoot in the dark and do a bunch of activities, because to find out actually what your kid's interested in, what your kid doesn't want to do. And then once you find something, then you foster that.
Well, hey, that's the debate, because from the minute our daughter was born,
well, she'll do everything.
I remember feeling like I had to enroll her in programs. And we're talking about, she was a baby. She started water babies with me. She was 7 weeks old. I felt like she had to be in swimming lessons. She also did music classes. I took her on the subway, and we went. We took turns.
Song circle,
yeah. We went to music classes there, and I remember not wanting to go all the time. I was a postpartum mom, and I was taking her to these lessons out of obligation because I thought that is the thing you have to do. But upon reflection, did I have to do that? Could I have done something else in the age of a baby being 7 weeks old? Who would benefit more from a program or an outing, the baby or the mom?
Well, I think you're benefiting from that, right? Like what it comes down to is, I mean, we have 3 kids, all close in age, Did number 3 get access to all these activities? No, absolutely not. It's not possible. But number 1, you're a new parent. You're enjoying the activity, being a new parent. Number 2 comes, and then number 3 comes. You're just not you're not experiencing that anymore because you don't have time to do. You got to take care of another 2 to deal with that. So, but you've had those moments. So I would say it's okay to do the activity. I guess what the answer is that, doing those activities early on with your kid, it's more for you most likely than for the child. So at the end of the day, yeah, go do it. But if you didn't do it, doesn't matter either. But it goes back to being a community of like-minded individuals. You're a first-time mom. It's nice being around other first-time moms and getting through that. So I think a lot of those early age activities is just learning how to be a mom or a dad and watching other people
and
connecting or potentially have struggles and everything like that. So if you're at home alone with the child all the time, it can be very, very lonely, and you can think you're the only one going through that. So getting out and being part of that community, it is good for the child because it's making you a better parent. But once you have the second, you're a veteran. Number 3 comes. Well, number 3 self-sufficient.
Yeah, a lot of it definitely comes from good intention, but I can see how it's very easy to get caught up and overschedule, because then you have this child, still our daughter, who's very open to activities and wants to try everything. And again, she's one of 3 kids, and she's in tutoring and tennis and swimming and hip hop and acro and chess. She wants to do it all.
But she does, I will say, she does indicate that she gets tired.
Now. Yeah, she does. Yeah. So how does the family determine what programs or activities to put their kids in and what ones to not put their kids in?
Well, we'll use our daughter as an example before we get into our first son, because our second son is quite young, so you don't have to worry as much about him. But she did drop because she dropped gymnastics.
She dropped gymnastics and replaced it with acro.
Because it was the conversation, right? So what I mean, the conversation, and this is about putting the activities into buckets. And the way I look at things is, and I'll outline those activities that she does. So number 1, Laura and I have discussed, swimming is a life skill. So whether our kids like it or they don't like it, they're going to swimming classes. They're going to swimming classes every weekend, and they're going to get to lifeguard level swimming. Okay, that's a life skill for them. They don't have to be a lifeguard, but they have to get to lifeguard level. That's a non-negotiable because it's a life skill. It's important for them, their own growth and survival if they're ever in a situation. So that goes into the life skill category. That's happening. Number 2, in regards to growth, that's tutoring. Again, we have our children in tutoring. We did drop her down though. We had her twice a week, and now we have her down to once a week. We think that's important for her to have additional resources on tutoring. So we put that's life skill. So she hasn't had a choice yet. These are things that parents have decided. You're going to these things. You have to do these things. When it came to dance and the gymnastics, we're like, well, okay, we want to give you something. You want to still put them into something they like. What's a program you like doing? And she really likes doing dance. And yes, she's in 2 dance programs, but that's putting her choice of being in 2 dance programs. If we decided to condense it down, we would just give her the ultimatum: pick one. You have capacity for one, you can go into that. So that's going into, as your child gets older, narrowing down the activities and fostering the specific thing that they have passion and they're interested
Personal
in.
interests.
And then in regards to the chess, I also put that, for me, that's life skill. Very important for me on the life skill side. But she has interest in that as well. So that one, there is a tandem in regards to life skill. I think it's important for her to learn strategy. And for her, she does enjoy it. Does she have capacity to add anything else in there?
And you didn't even talk about tennis yet.
Oh, sorry, we have tennis. And sorry, there is tennis. Tennis, that's the sport. So so that's her being in a sport, learning a sport skill, and that's putting everything in there. So what's that? About five activities?
5 or 6.
Yeah, five or six activities. Yeah. So that's how we classify things. But we do give her a choice on one.
Yeah, you definitely have intention when you are thinking about the activities. For families who don't have the activities into specific buckets like that, I mean, how can they really be more intentional about the activities that they are choosing?
Well, I think what they have to do is have that bucket conversation. So you brought up, you forgot about tennis. Okay. So what's the purpose of playing tennis? Do I think my daughter is going to be the next Serena Williams? Or no, I don't. Venus. It was Venus. Serena or Venus Williams. No, I do not. But what I've seen, it's important to have a sports skill later in life, to learn to have that so you can connect with other individuals and play something within a community. So past episode on the importance of community. So I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it with people that have played hockey when I was in my 20s, and there was these company sports hockey teams. And if you're a really good hockey player, you're coveted on these sports teams, and that allows you to build your network of individuals quickly because you played hockey. I didn't play hockey, so I didn't have the ability to build my network using that way. I did other things that could build my network. So if she learns how to play tennis and she's in her 20s and she wants to connect with someone, she can use tennis as a way to connect with that individual. I'm just inserting tennis as the sport.
Yep.
But I think it's just one. You just need one. And you use that sport to connect with individuals. So again, going back to your conversation of like, how do parents determine it? Use the different buckets and then put them into that buckets and then keep them in that, because sometimes they're going to need a little bit of a push.
So you have your buckets, which is great. And then if you realize that your buckets are taking up a lot of your time, I would say there are a couple other things that families could use as their criteria to determine a fit or not fit for the time being. Because it doesn't mean it's ruling out the future, but I'm talking about the time. So I'm talking about capacity in the moment. Capacity, whether it's capacity for time, the financial capacity. So Alex, you have these buckets. I want to know how you determine the buckets.
Well, we've talked about the values, the family values you place on those. So it's important to make sure that your activities align with your family values. And that's where we communicate with each other to determine what our family values are and what the activities we're putting our children in, and the level of push that we're going to give to our kids to pursue those activities. So aligning those buckets with your family values.
Okay.
The buckets are just a way of defining your family values. Connecting the activity to your family value. That's the idea of the bucket, the idea of the life skill and everything like that. It connects back to the family value.
Okay. And I do think that the family values can guide you so I think some of the buckets, they guide for the long term safety, strategy. But then there are also the family values that help guide for the present. So I would say for me, some of those family values would include family weeknight dinners together. That is a family value that we hold close to us, and we have dinner together every night. So if there is an activity that prevented us from having family dinners together, I would reevaluate, or evaluate whether that program was a fit for that child and our family.
I'll be a devil's advocate on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's important to evaluate that based on the family value, but this is where working within the spirit
Mm-hmm.
of a value,
Mm-hmm.
right? So hands down, what's important as a family for us is sitting down together for a meal. So let's say there's an activity that will impact us sitting down at a specific time for a meal. That doesn't mean that that type of meal or the timing of that meal can't change. So what I'm getting here at that, and we're not in that situation by any means right now, but you would just schedule everyone's schedule around accommodating the activity and the family meal as well on a daily basis. So I just wanted like the parents that are listening out there and they're going, oh shoot, I'm like, this is impossible. I have this competitive thing. I can't have my, like this isn't possible. It's like, no, let's think outside of the box. How do we make this possible while accommodating both?
Yes. And one thing that I really want to point out is that our kids are still very young.
Yes, correct.
Right. So things will change for us in this moment with our kids who are 3, 5, and 7.
Yeah.
Family dinners are important to me and to us. But I fully recognize that as kids age, they do have activities that can disrupt dinner time. And that was for me as well when I was younger and I was doing gymnastics, but I wasn't 7. I was older. So there definitely is a way to accommodate if you do want to have family dinner together, to accommodate either, the timing, but also could be the meal, because we do have family breakfast together. And so it's just, maybe, or is there another time when the family can sit down together? Is it after school or is it after the program?
Yeah, so it's earlier dinner, later
or is
dinner.
it X number of nights in the week?
Yeah. So it's a collaborative approach. You're not compromising on the values, but you're accommodating the reality of the situation. But it can still be something where you're looking at the activity and going, is this a commitment as a family that we want to make? Yes, we will work with you, talking to the child in this case, we will work with you. We will work with you to allow our family values to accommodate this activity. But are you going then to give your all for this activity? Like you can use this as a stepping point. And they're like, you know what? I kind of wanted to just do it because so-and-so is doing it. But you know what? I'm really not that into it. So, you're right, Mom and Dad. Sitting down at 5 p.m. for dinner every night is more important to me than pursuing that activity. So it allows to build off the family values, going, okay, here's the spirit of the family value, spending time for a meal every day or however you look at it, but also holding an accountability to the individual that if we got your back, you can do this activity, but are you going to give your all in this activity?
You actually bring up a really good point, because I think it's important for families to determine why we would be putting a child into an activity in the first place. Is it because the child wants to sign up? Is it because we want them to sign up as the parents? And lastly, do they want to sign up? Does the child want to sign up because they have a friend actually, or their peers are in that program and they just want to be a part of it? So I think it's really important to get to the bottom of why you are enrolling the child in the first place, or why they want to do it, and understanding what is involved and if you have the capacity for that. So for instance, if it is let's say a sports team, if it's hockey, which involves practices, games, it can involve travel. It could involve travel throughout the city and also travel on the weekends. And if you have multiple kids who are in other activities, how are you going to make that all work? So it's really understanding everything that is involved. And if the child is committed to that, if they agree, because this isn't just about the child anymore. This is about other people who are involved now. and being responsible to your team. And then also the family, are they committed and have the capacity to actually doing everything that's involved?
And it's a great way to hold them accountable to that, having that conversation, including them in that conversation, not making the decision for them, making the decision with them. And if they decide that, yes, I'm willing to sign all that up, there are still strategies beyond that to at least you can fall back on your family values. So again, talking about travel, various things. Well, we've talked about in other episodes, not specifically about this, but what you can do is you can coordinate with other families that are involved in these activities and create time. It's all about creating time.
Yeah, that's a value of community.
Value of community and working within your community. So you're like, Alex, how do you create time? Well, you create time by going to other families and go, hey, our child is committed to this. Your child is committed to this, but we have certain family values that we want to maintain. And I'm sure you guys have values as a family as well. You know, this weekend, these 3 weekends, we'll take your kids and our kids. And then this weekend, you take your kid and our kid. So what we've done is we've created time. You know, you don't need to be there for every specific event. You can rely on the community to help you, but give back to the community, help the community as well. So again, having the conversation with your child and then building out a plan in order for, if they like, hey, I'm committed to this. Okay, well, we do have time constraints. So let's create time. How do we create time? Let's build some strategies around creating time so that we can make this so it aligns with our family values. We're not sacrificing. So we're still working within the spirit of our family values. Let's collaborate on this. I think that's really important. And it shows to role model to your kids. What we've done with this is you've included them with the planning process, and now you're teaching them a life skill. Again, the likelihood that your child is going to become a professional athlete and earn a living off this is like winning the lottery odds. Okay. But what's the value then of doing these? They're going to grab it. They're going to develop a skill, but they're also going to learn how to work within a team. They're also going to learn how to work with different personalities. They're going to develop planning skills on how to do time management. These are life skills that that are going to be with them forever. And you're using the activity you're engaging them in to learn these skills. So instead of you doing all the work, you do it collaboratively with them to build this out. So taking this whole thing to a positive experience and including them in that. And then maybe there's a point that they don't want to do it anymore. And that's okay too. But it's a collaborative investment with them. And also problem solving in regards to, oh, shoot, how can we create more time? Then they learn how they can create time as well.
Yeah, I think that the first step is really doing a bit of an audit in terms of your time, your energy, and your finances as a family, to understand just to think about everything that is involved, and where that fits in when there are other activities involved. So just not making a quick decision. If you were to send me that picture and I'm like, oh, that's great, let me sign him up. And then that would just be another activity in addition to what a family may already be dealing with in the week. Hey, I'm not saying...
No. I'm smiling for a completely different reason.
Okay.
Smiling for when you bring up finances. It makes me laugh. And people, like, what I mean by that is these conversations bring me back to my childhood, not where I am today. In my head, finances are an issue. And what I mean by that is if your kid wants to do it, this is what popped in my head. Like finances, I'm like, tell the kid to get a job. But what we've done is we created, if you really want to do that and we don't have the finances to do that, that's okay. Then let's be creative and figure out a way to find the money to do this. Like, it's another life building lesson. So where I'm smiling, when I was a kid, and again, small town, Cape Real, Ontario, middle of nowhere, like there weren't a lot of financial resources that were available. In grade 6, I came home, like, Mom and Dad, I got paper route. And they like, no, you can't have paper route. It's going to impact your studies. And after back and forth, they allowed me to keep paper route as long as my grades didn't go down. But it's because they weren't going to buy me the things that I wanted. So I went and got a job so I could buy the things that I wanted. So in my head, finances aren't an issue if the kid wants to do it, because then the kid can go find money to go do it. But it becomes a conversation with them going, you're not putting constraints on the individual. You're not saying we can't do this. We're just outlining what needs to be done to make this a reality. So never say no, just outline what needs to be done. And then you can develop a plan on how it can be done. And then then the child can decide if they want to execute the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So you've never said no. What you've done is you showed a path on how to do it. Then you're making a decision if you want to follow through on that path. That's how I'm excited now. A conversation about a kid joining an activity and they don't end up joining could be an incredible life skill for them, just in that whole process, that journey of trying to decide if they want to do the activity. Because what you do is take them from start and then you bring them to finish and you show them all the things that need to be done. Not even show them. You you collaboratively do it together, going all the steps that need to be done. Now, what they've created is a way to critically think if they want to do things. That's a life skill. If you have the ability to quickly make decisions if you want to pursue something and not want to pursue something, that will make you such a much stronger and decisive individual moving forward into the future. So all these different things, choosing what activity to put your kid into, have a conversation with them and help them map out the reasons to do it and what needs to be done to do that. Never say no.
This sounds incredible. I'm going to give you the new title of kids activity owner in our household, so you can do all of that with them.
But isn't it like, isn't that a great thing to do with your child walking through? So
it is, especially because sports can be expensive.
So yes. So I wanted to like, finances could be a huge barrier to decision.
Yeah.
But show the kids this is how much it costs.
Yeah.
And then go, hey, we don't have the ability to finance this. We're not saying no, but if you can find a way to finance this, then we will absolutely support this. My marketing manager just said to me, the 5-year-old cannot accommodate the $5,000 a year. Yes, they can with your support. With your support, they can. You can figure out a way together to make the funds to make it a reality. Well, I welcome the backlash.
Well, I was going to say, when you said never say no and the kids can finance it, I certainly agree with that at a certain age when they aren't counting on you to drive them. And I know you said carpooling is an option, but I'm just thinking about
take the bus.
Well, I'm not going to send my 7-year-old on the bus to go to hip hop. So I do think at a certain age, they can earn the money and do things to make it possible. It really depends on the age of the child that you're dealing with. But it really comes down to, it doesn't matter if you're in a small town, or a big city. There are endless activities and they're constantly coming our way, like the one today. You could just be walking down the street and you see a sign, and it's so easy to say yes and want to do it all and want to provide these experiences for your kids and have your kids keep up with the other kids in the
Yes,
class.
I like. Yes, I think you're bringing this. So the keeping up with the Joneses mentality, which we don't fall into. I don't think. But trying to keep up with other people. And you and I feel strongly about this is you don't need to keep up because kids develop at different rates. Heck, a kid born in January and a kid born in December of the same grade year, that's, if you think of percentages of it, That can be a massive, massive, massive difference. You could be 25% more developed from an age perspective, depending on the age of the child, from 3 to 4 years old, those kind of things. So you don't need to jump on making sure your kid's keeping up with the kids in the rest of the class, because kids develop at different paces. So it's more important to work with your kid and understand them and where they are at in their development and
their interests. Yes. And their interests and passions.
And their interests and their passions. What's important for you to do as a parent is to protect their confidence.
Yep.
That's what it is. Because again, given that example, a kid born in January, but a kid born in December, physically, they one of them may have growth spurt, and physically the other one's able to move faster than yours. And it's just protecting their confidence, going, if you keep on working hard, establish personal goals and just get better every day, you will be better in the long run. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So what your job is, protecting your kids' confidence, fostering their interests, fostering their passions, not try to keep up with the Joneses.
No. It's a waste of energy when you're focused on anybody but yourself and your family. The best thing you can do is think about how you can live your best lives, and be intentional about that, because you can't control anyone else. How they live, it really doesn't matter. And
guess what? There's always someone better than you.
There is
always someone better than you.
But one thing that we've learned within our own family is that all kids are different and they have different interests. So
Absolutely.
like we said, our daughter, she wants to do everything. Our middle son, he wants to stay home and he wants freedom to play with his toys. He doesn't want to be rushed on a Saturday morning. He sees it's the weekend and he wants to be able to relax and not be forced into programs. And he could get, for him, he needs the outdoor time. And that's something he could get just from us going outside and him biking, going to the park, or him even just digging or collecting garbage around our property. He's fulfilled doing that. I certainly see the importance of socializing, but he can get that in other aspects. He doesn't need to be doing a Saturday morning program for that. So it's really understanding your kids and their interests and where they want to be, pushing them when needed, but understanding when there are times maybe they just don't need to be pushed, or maybe they just don't need to be in this program. What are we getting out of it if they're kicking and screaming? Or maybe they just aren't ready.
I think, when we initially had him in tennis, he wasn't ready. Now he's in tennis. With his sister, he's not into it. But with his little brother, the one where he wasn't ready, the younger version, he's into it. It's just it's fitting him into the category. It's okay, now he's a little more mature to do this. He has the attention span to do this now. So it's understanding when they're ready, when they're willing to commit to things. Push, pull. Every kid is different.
Yeah. But if there's anyone, whether they have babies or school-age kids or high schoolers, let's just say, thinking about activities to sign their kids up for, I would really say think about your current capacity and think about the time and energy it will require and why they want to do it. Because I think that would have saved me from signing up our kids into a lot of programs when they were babies.
You enjoyed it though. Don't feel guilty. I'll also go back on, if a kid is willing to commit to something, then I'll find the time to make it happen. That is something that I will do. My parents did that as well. They put me in competitive skiing when I was a child, and they sacrificed a lot of weekends driving me around all over Northern Ontario, not a small place, to different ski meets and everything like that. And if the kid is interested, then I'll adjust the schedule to make things happen. But it's good to have, but in order to prevent burnout, then you have the family value system, the conversations, so that everyone ends up being satisfied and fulfilled.
Yep.
Like, you don't want to go into a deficit and then create a new situation.
No, you don't. And I would say if there is one parent who's proposing an activity, they need to have a willingness to follow through on that activity and be willing to take that child to a program. Because I think in the past, when you were less available, I do recall thinking in my head, if I'm going to propose this, I have to have a willingness to take the child, because you only had so much capacity at a time. And on the flip side, if you want to enroll the kids in activities, you need to have a willingness, or not just you, I mean, any partner has to be willing to step up and say, yeah, like, I think this program looks great. And yes, I will be the one to take them to the program. I will be the owner of this, because otherwise it just leads to conflict. If you said, hey, let's do this, let's put our child in this program. Okay, Laura, it's Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Here you go. You need to be there. Mm-hmm. It just wouldn't end well. And the last thing I would say is really ensuring that your child wants to go into a program before signing up, ensuring they have a willingness. And once you sign up, you're in it until it's done. There's no quitting. You have to follow the program or the session through until it's done, say, for the year.
I'm laughing because sometimes we threaten our middle child with, if you don't start behaving, we're going to put you in sports. Like, no! Because he needs an outlet for his energy.
So Alex, if you're going to remind listeners of any key takeaways here of how they can manage kids' activities.
First of all, establish your family values. Then take your family values and use your family values to define the different buckets that you're going to put various activities in. So again, I use an example of swimming. That's a non-negotiable for us. It's a life skill all our children will learn, and they will take that to a lifeguard level. Like that's there. So put things in different buckets. As we discussed, our children are younger, but as they grow older and you get into maybe more competitive sports and larger time commitments, work with the children if they want to commit to that and commit to the time, and build out a plan with them to determine if they want to pursue this.
Yeah. So thinking about capacity, time, money, energy, and why they want to do it, why you would be signing the child up for the activity. Is it for the child? Is it for you? Or is it?
Well, and remember that whole journey of discussing that with them is creating a life skill for allow them to.
Yeah. And also thinking about your own capacity as a family, whether you have the time, energy, and financial resources to put the child in the activity, and just thinking about why you would be signing the child up for the activity in the first place. Do they want to do it? Is this something as parents you want them to do? Are you trying to fulfill something that wasn't fulfilled in your own younger years? Or are you also trying to keep up with other families and other kids? So it's just being intentional about the activities that you're enrolling your kids in, just so that you aren't overscheduled and eventually burn out. So it's just meant to be something that is enjoyable for everyone involved. We'd love to hear your comments, thoughts, questions around this topic. Thank you for listening.